Good morning, everybody. How are you all? Good, good. Yeah, I think that time is wrong. I have 9:28. Yeah, that says 9:25, so it's off by 3 minutes. You have 9:30? Get cranking, okay. Get cranking, Ann said. Goodness gracious. All right, we will get cranking. I think people might be straggling in because the parking is full. What a surprise. So everybody's going across the street. There, what's that? Oh, the bus went to Hampton Beach. Oh, that's why there's so many cars out here. Okay. See, take someone in the know, right? I had no idea why. There we go. So that's why we're not full today. Some folks decided to go to Hampton Beach instead. You know, I don't blame them, right? It's right. It's a hot day. It's been a few hot days. The rain that's coming, I know it's coming at like midday or something, right? That's right. That's right. I wouldn't want to be on Hampton Beach in the rain. Yeah. All right, John, you want to ring us in? Awesome. There we go. It's official. All right. So happy summer, everybody. Yesterday was our solstice, was the longest day. Yeah. So it's all downhill from here, right? We're skidding right into winter from this point forward. That's what my dad used to say. 4th of July, he'd say, summer's over, right? All right. So I see we have some new people here. They look a little like coffee cups, but you know, they'll be quiet at least. Well behaved. Well behaved. Yeah, okay. A little stiff though, right? All right. So come right up to the front edge of your chair and bring your feet underneath your knees. And if you can have your shoes off, that's great. If you can have your socks off, that's great. So whatever kind of works for you this morning. And then notice if you're kind of leaning forward a little bit, see if you can bring your shoulders right above your hips. So for most of us, that means we got to lean back just a little bit because this tends to be our posture in this forward leaning position, and then the chin comes up. So notice if that's creating some tension in your body. If it is, then you might tend to be one of these folks that leans forward as a normal posture or a natural posture. And then notice your neck, especially like the sides, from the bottoms of your ears to the tops of your shoulders. Notice if that feels like a little space or a big space there. So we'll just kind of test that out. If you just bring your right ear to your right shoulder just a little bit and then go to the left. And we'll just go side to side a couple of times. And as you're bringing your ear to your shoulder, I want you to think about the other ear going up. So it's more of a lift on this lengthened side. And then when I go to the other side, it's more of a lift on that side. So let's do that a couple of times. So you're lifting the ear up, and then you're bringing it back, and then you're lifting the other ear up, and you're not leaning your body. It's just your head that's moving. Good. And then coming back to center, let's do a couple of yes movements with the head. So very small, just lifting the chin a little bit. Excuse me, and then dropping down right into your collarbone notch. Good. And then just a little side to side. So just a little no. Chin comes out over toward the shoulders. If your chin doesn't get all the way over to your shoulders, that's okay. And then kind of come back to center, and now close your eyes. Relax your neck, relax your shoulders, relax your breathing. And so when I say relax your breathing, I mean just breathe naturally. So however you normally breathe, whatever feels like it's normal to you, just let the air move in and out. And notice what that feels like to breathe naturally. So what's the temperature of the air that you're breathing in and the temperature that you're breathing out? And is your breath fast? Is it slow? Is it shallow? Are you taking like little short breaths, or is it kind of deep? Are you taking some longer breaths? Is there a sound to your breath this morning? Maybe there's a shape that you associate with your breath, or a color, or a taste. There's all kinds of different ways we can experience things. And it doesn't have to follow along what we believe are like normal lines. So some people do sense a color when they're breathing. Some people sense a shape when they're breathing. Maybe there's a word that's associated with the inhale and the exhale. And now start to lengthen your breath. So as you inhale, see if you can breathe in a little more deeply. And as you breathe out, a little more completely. So I like to think of this breathing like this, I call it the sponge breath. So when you breathe in, it's like a dry sponge absorbing water. So you want to fill that sponge, you want to absorb as much water as you can, and then when you breathe out, you really need to wring out the sponge. So when you're breathing in, if the sponge is still kind of damp, still kind of wet, it's going to be hard to breathe in more deeply. So the exhale is actually a little more important than the inhale. On that exhale, pull your navel in toward your spine and again squeeze out your sponge. Let it be nice, as dry as you can get it, nice and dry. And this may feel like a lot of effort, especially if you tend to be a bit of a shallow breather, which most of us are, by the way. So you're breathing in and you're absorbing the water on the counter with your sponge, and then as you breathe out, you're really squeezing out that water so the sponge gets as dry as it can get. And this allows for a fuller, deeper inhalation. So a couple more of these really full, deep breaths. The sponge breath, inhaling like you're sopping up water with your sponge, and exhaling, really squeezing it out. And then gradually go back to your natural breath. Just noticing the way air moves in and out. Let's take in a breath together, let it out with a sigh. And you can let your eyes gently open. Take your hands from your lap, and we'll start with some nice little movements for the fingers this morning. So just flexing and extending the fingers, working the hands a bit. So just noticing how your fingers are feeling this morning, if they're all opening and closing easily, or if you've got one or two, maybe you got a couple joints in there that are feeling a little bit wacky. Okay, and then let's extend, and we'll do a bear claw. So just kind of come down to that bear claw and then extend. So we're just doing a bear claw and extend. And relax your shoulders, so try not to hold your bare paws up with your shoulders. Good. And then next time we do the bear claw, let's go right into a fist, and then we'll come all the way up. Bear claw, fist, and all the way up. A couple more. Good. And bear claw, fist, and all the way up. Good. Now we're going to take the hands and we're going to make a fist, but we're going to tuck the thumbs in. So tuck your thumbs in and make a little wrap around your thumbs, right? And then open. And then a regular fist, right? And then a thumb tuck and come down and a regular fist. Good. So you're just doing it on opposites, right? So one time you tuck your thumb, one time you don't tuck your thumb. Now, if tucking your thumb, if you're squeezing too hard and it hurts your thumb, just don't squeeze quite so hard. So you can get your thumb as far over, like you can touch the knuckle of your little finger, right? That knuckle that's on your palm. So notice if you're breathing easily and smoothly, or if it's a little challenging here. So we're getting a little bit of movement, a little different movement. Okay. And then the next time that you have your hands open, we're going to circle the thumbs and circle the other way. Going to relax your shoulders. I see a lot of shoulders up like this, so just relax them down. And then let's circle just the first finger, so the pointer finger. And reverse and breathe. And then how about that second finger? Kind of circling around. You'll notice the third one goes with it, right? And then go back. And then we'll go to that third finger, ring finger, circling around. I don't know about you all, but it's less of a circle than a little wave for me, right? Not a lot of circling going on. And reverse. But I'm getting that intention in my head, right? And then the little one. So a little circle and reverse circle. All right, and then just kind of shake that out a little bit, and we're going to transition right down to the feet. So we're going to go to the toes, from the fingers to the toes. So look down there at those toes. Can you see them all? Okay, so lift them all up and lower them down. Just lifting and lowering. Keep the tripods on the floor. So if you remember, your tripods are your big toe knuckle, your little toe knuckle, and your heel. So we're not lifting the whole foot. We're just lifting the toes. And you can feel this in the tops of your feet and in the fronts of your legs, the fronts of your lower legs as you're doing this. Okay, and then let's do the opposite. So the right lifts and the left lowers, and then we'll lift the left and lower the right. So we're kind of going back and forth. And see if you can do that kind of quickly, right? It's like dancing with your feet, a little dance with your feet. So we're just going back and forth. Okay. And then lift them all up, spread them out nice and wide. Keep all the little toes lifted and press just the big toes down, and then lift. So again, keep the tripods on the floor so you're not lifting the front of your foot. You're just lifting your toes. So we're keeping all the little toes lifted, and we're just pressing the big ones down and lifting them back up, and we're breathing as we're doing this. Okay, and then lifting up, we're going to hold the big toes up and lower all the little ones and press down and lift and press down and lift. And if you need an assist, you can reach down there. What you want to do is you want to hold your big toes up. You don't want to be pushing your little toes down with your fingers. You're just giving the assist to the big toes to stay up. Okay, and then lift everybody up. Your right big toe goes down, your left little toes go down. Right? Okay, I'll say that again. So now we're going to switch, and we're going to put all the little toes on the right down, lift the right big toe, press the left big toe down, and lift all the left little toes. That made no more sense than the first time, did it? Okay, relax your feet. Whew. Holy moly. Let's lift them all up. So you got everybody up, right? All right, so take your right big toe, press it down to the floor. Take your left little toes and press them down to the floor. Got it? There we go. Second time's a charm. Lift everybody up. Press your left big toe down to the floor and your right little toes down to the floor. And then lift everybody up. Right big toe down, left little toes down. Lift. Left big toe down, right little toes down. And lift. Right big toe down, left little toes down. And lift. Johnny, you okay? Right big toe. You okay? Okay. Left big toe down, right little toes down. and lift. All right, everybody down, everybody up. Everybody down, everybody up. One more time. Everybody down, everybody up. Holy moly. All right. Stretch the bottom of that right foot. We'll stretch those toes. So push down. So you want to get your toes in that little Barbie foot, right? So we got the heel as far away from the toes as it can go, and you're pushing down. If your little toe is hanging out or it's getting squished under there, just kind of fan your foot out a little bit on the floor. See if you can get that little toe separate. Sometimes that can be a real tough thing to do, because little toes, depending on the shape of your foot, your little toe might be way down there. And then switch sides. So, ooh, that was a good one. And we'll press down into the foot. So we all have different shaped feet, which is kind of interesting. I'll talk about that a little bit. So press down into the little toe side a little more if you can. There you go. Good. All right. So I'm sure there's more than this, but the shapes that I know of are something called a mountain foot, which is where maybe your second toe and your third toe, or maybe just your second toe, is taller than the big toe and taller than the other toes. So if your foot is shaped like that, so have a look down there, that you would have a mountain foot, a mountain-shaped foot, right? You never knew that, right? If your toes are like kind of straight across, that is considered a plateau foot. So you know, like a plateau is flat, so that would be a plateau foot. And then the third shape that I'm aware of is something called a slant foot, right? Which is where the big toe's taller, and then all the little toes kind of go down at I said slant, I meant slope. So it's like a slope, like a ski slope, right? Yeah. So can you all identify which kind of foot you have? How many have, I'm just curious, how many have mountain feet? Okay, that's a good amount. And how many have plateau feet? Nobody. Okay, and how many have slope feet? More slopes. Okay, interesting. That's just really interesting. So it's interesting to think about that. So somebody with a mountain foot might have an easier time going, stretching the toes, pushing right through the middle, because all the toes are going to hit the floor. Somebody with a sloped foot, so this little toe is way down, that might mean you've got to kind of angle your knee and your leg out a little bit to get that stretch a little more. So let's try that stretch again. So if you take your foot, doesn't matter which, step it back, get into that Barbie foot, right? So you're trying to get your heel up and your toes pushing down. And notice, if you've got a sloped foot, if you're pushing straight down, your little toe is going to be lifted a little. So just kind of shift your focus over to the outside a bit. Good. And then relax that, and then we'll do the other side. So same thing, just kind of notice. Excellent. All right, and then let's go back here. Okay, so let's have all the toes down. And now you're going to push your big toes, just your big toes. Push them down into the floor like you're trying to push a button, and lift all your little toes. And then lower down. So you're pushing just your big toes down, and you're lifting all your little toes up. Now, you're not doing this with your knees, right? So anybody who's got their knees like this, bring your knees over your ankles. So we want to try and keep the knees over the ankles, because we're trying to work the toes. And we are great at delegating, right? So if something isn't working or is not, if something isn't doing what we want it to do, it's very common for us to just delegate that to another part of the body. So if my toes aren't lifting, it's much easier for me to just bring my knees in and delegate that work up to my hips and my knees. So how's that going? Are they doing anything down there? Yeah, they're lifting and lowering? Good. Awesome. Okay, so now lower everybody down. Okay. We're going to keep all the little toes down. I want you to push down into your little toes, not your big toes. Just your little toes. That's harder to do, I think. So as you're pushing into your little toes, lift your big toes up. And then lower down. So we're lifting and lowering the big toes, but we're really pushing all those little toes down into the floor. So we're working the bottoms of the feet, the arches, the muscles in the bottom of the foot, the muscles that come up from the bottom of the foot into the back of the leg, into the front of the leg. Okay. And relax all of that. One more time, we're going to push down into those little toes, and we're going to lift the big toe. Now lift the big toe as high as you can, and look down and see how high your big toe is lifted. Is it the same on the right side and the left side? No. Who says yes? Some people say yes. Okay, so lower that back down again. And let's try that. So let's relax the toes again. And now we're going to take the foot and we're going to turn the top of the foot into the floor. So it's the reverse stretch that we did before. So as you press the top of the foot or the tops of the toes into the floor, give it a little bit of a push. And then emphasize a little more the outside edge of the foot. So in other words, push more into the little toe side of your foot. And you'll feel that along the outer edge of your leg. And if you push more into the big toe side of your foot, you'll feel that more in the front of your leg. So kind of go back and forth and just notice which has the most sensation for you, right? Which has the most sensation? For some of us, it's going to be the outside. For some of us, it's going to be the inside. And then relax that foot. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So take that foot, and if the floor is hurting your foot, most of you have a shoe underneath your chair. You can just kind of put your foot on your shoe and do that. I always have a towel. I like to do this into a towel. It feels comfortable for me. And so push on the little toe side, push on the big toe side. Good. And breathe. I haven't mentioned that yet. It's yoga. I have to say that like every 5 minutes. Good. And then relax that. Okay. So now we've got the feet underneath the knees. We're going to lift the toes, spread them nice and wide. Keep all the little toes lifted. Press the big toes down. Lift them back up. Keep the big toes lifted. Press all the little toes down. Lift everybody back up. One more time. We'll do that. Press just the big toes down. Lift up. Press just the little toes down. Lift up. Breathe. Lower everybody down. Keeping the little toes down, lift the big toes. See if it's a little higher, if you're able to lift a little higher. And then lower. Let's try that again. So lifting just the big toes. See if you lift a little higher than you did the first time. And lower down. Good. And then keep the big toes down. All the little toes lift up and down and up and down. And one more time. Lift all those little toes and down. Great. Take a breath. Sigh. Let's come back to the upper part of the body. So we're going to relax the feet for a little bit. So we've worked the fingers, we've worked the hands a little bit. Let's work the wrists. So just kind of circle your wrists around. Good. Okay. And circle the other way. Okay. And then bringing your hands out sort of with a little bend in your elbows and hands lower than your shoulders. We're going to go forward as much as we can. And then back as much as we can, right? Forward and back. It's like driving a motorcycle, right? If you have the throttle on, if you have a throttle on both sides, right? Is that right? No, the throttle, what does the throttle do? Yeah, that's a throttle. I don't know. It's been a while. So we're kind of going forward and back. Forward and back. Okay, now just to make it fun, let's spread out the hands. Instead of going forward and back, we're going to go side to side. But don't use your elbows and your shoulders. So you'll notice you want to do this, right? So see if you can keep that steady. If that's really hard, actually, everybody bring your elbows in. Tuck them right in there, right? And now try it. Little different. Don't turn your palms up, so palms are down. This can be a very small movement one way or the other, right? So elbows are bent, and they're right into your sides, and we're just doing this. Okay, and now let's turn the palms up. Same thing. Good. Okay, and then let's circle around again. So we got a little bit of wrist action there. So part of the action of the wrist is we're twisting the bones here in the front of, in the lower part of the arm. We're twisting them around each other. So you have 2 bones in your arm. Well, no, you have 3 bones in your. Well, no, you have a lot more than 3 bones in your arm. Being really technical. So you have 2 bones in your lower arm. So your big bone here. If you take your arm and extend it this way and go from the top side of your elbow and kind of trace it down toward your thumb, so it's at a little bit of a diagonal. Can you feel that bone in there? Yeah, that's your radius. right? So that's the big bone in your arm. And then on the outside, so if you go to where your funny bone is, you know where your funny bone is, you remember banging your funny bone, and go on the outside of your arm down toward your little finger, you feel a little bone out there, that's your ulna. So you got two bones, and they'll twist around each other a little bit when we do this wrist action and elbow action. And there should be some movement in there. So let's come up to the elbows, and we're just gonna bend the elbows. So we're just tapping, so relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, relax your breath, right? So we're getting a little movement in the elbows. So this is a movement we do a lot, right? In your daily life. We kind of bend the elbow and come up and around. But how often do you have your arms up in front and do this movement, right? Not too often for most of us, right? It's a little harder. We got a little shoulder action happening here. Good. And breathe. And the next time you tap your shoulders, I'm going to have you bring your elbows out to the side. So here we are. Elbows are lifted. So if you can get your elbows on the same plane as your shoulder, in other words, your upper arm is parallel to the floor, if that's possible. If that's not possible, because you've got a shoulder issue, just do the best you can. And all we're going to do is extend and bend, right? Oops, and I'm sorry. I didn't ask you to check for length first. I forgot. I forgot to ask about phones, too. So if that's like in anybody's mind right now, go ahead and take care of that. We'll just keep going till you're done. Good. And everybody will look at you. Okay, next time the arms are open, we're going to hold them here. Let's bring the right hand to the shoulder, and then we'll switch and do the left hand to the shoulder. So we're just going back and forth this way. Excellent. Good. Good, good, good. Okay. And then let's get both hands on the shoulders, and we're going to bring the elbows up as high as they can go. Actually, let's just do one at a time. So we'll take the right one, bring it up, and take your right hand and give yourself a little pat on the back. All right? Okay. So from here, we're just going to extend that arm up, reach as high as you can, and then bend that elbow and give yourself a little pat on the back. So breathing in and breathing out. And if you need a little assist, if you need to give your arm a little help here, you can take that other hand, give it a little support. Otherwise, you're just extending and bending. Extending and bending. And try to relax your neck. So sometimes we get our necks in this kind of funky position. One more time, up and down. And then let's relax that. We'll take the other arm, bring it up. Good. Reach, reach, reach. Bend the elbow, tap yourself on the back, and then come up and tap and come up and breathe. And again, if your arm will only allow this height for your elbow, that's absolutely fine. I'm trying to get your shoulder in a different position as we do this bending and extending, because this is the same movement. We're doing bending and extending of the elbow. Good. One more time. Great. And then bring that down. Okay, we're going to come out into like scarecrow arms. Relax your shoulders down, right? So here in the scarecrow arms, we're going to extend and bend. And extend and bend. So keep those upper arms parallel to the floor. Don't move the upper arms, right? It's just the lower arms that are moving. And you can feel this in the muscles in the backs of your upper arms called your triceps muscles. Can you all feel that as you extend your elbows? Good. Okay. And then one more, as your hands come in, we're going to take your elbows and we're going to bring them back like wings, right? So they're back here like wings. Try not to jut yourself forward like this. Try and keep yourself upright. And we're going to extend and bend. And keep the upper arms lifted, though, right? Try not to lean forward with your body. So the tendency is to lean forward. Again, it's what I was saying. We outsource, right? If I don't have this movement available to me, I'm going to outsource. I'm going to get here. How are we doing? Everybody okay? Excuse me, my voice this morning. Not doing great. Okay, and one more time. Excellent. And then let's roll those shoulders, because we did get some shoulder action in there as well. Because you can't just work one part of the body in isolation, right? You're kind of working everything in reverse direction. But we have a focus or a concentration on one part. All right, let's give that a little bit of a rest, and we'll go back down to the lower body. Take your right leg extended out, and we're going to point and flex at that ankle. So we're pointing and flexing the whole foot. So as you're doing this, if you if holding your leg up is a little too much, you can tap your heel and tap your toes. If that's too much, you can actually do this with your heel on the floor. So if you've got something happening in your leg or hip or back that are preventing you from keeping that leg lifted. Okay, and then bring that foot back down. We'll go the other side, so we're pointing and flexing. Pointing and flexing. Oh, it's another good one out there. Excellent. A little snappy. Tendons can be a little snappy in the ankles and the wrists. Good. Now notice, is the right side different than the left, right? Do you feel like you have more range on one side than the other? And then bring that foot back down. Let's go the other side and we'll circle. Circle, circle. This can be a little snappy too. And reverse direction. Oh. Hey, if the pointing and flexing doesn't get it, the circling will. There we go. And then you can bring that foot to the floor. Let's do the other side. So circle, circle. Nice. And again, these are actions, like how often do you do this action with your ankle? Maybe a lot, maybe not so much. Reverse direction. Okay, and bring that foot back down. Okay, so we're going to take the right leg, and I'm going to ask you to turn the bottom of your foot to the inside. So it's like you're trying to check for gum on the bottom of your foot. And then try and check for gum on the bottom of the outside of your foot. So we're turning the other way. So if this is my foot, this is when I turn in, and that's when I turn out. So we're looking for gum, inside, outside. Now you'll notice you got to turn a little at your knee. You got to turn a little at your hip, right? Good. Excellent. And bring that foot back down. Same thing on the other side. So just extend the leg. Try to turn from the ankle. You will get a little bit of movement in the knee, but try and turn from the ankle. And then to the outside. And I think we talked about the structure of your leg, lower leg last week, didn't we? About the bones. Do you all remember? Maybe not. We'll talk about it again. So your lower leg has the same configuration as your as your forearm, right? So there's two bones. So take your hand and go down the front of your shin, and you'll feel it, that bone, right? Can you all feel that ridge there? That's your tibia. That's the big bone in your lower leg. And then if you go to the outside, usually where you can't really feel it too well, but on the outside where it's a little more fleshy and it's usually a little tender out there, that's your fibula down there. So you've got your tibia, that's your big bone, and then you've got this little tibia on the fibula on the outside. Now those bones help create your ankle. So if you take, let's take the right leg. Let's take the left leg. I always do the right leg. Let's take the left leg. Go down to the inside of your left leg to where your ankle is. Can you all feel that bone there? The inside of your ankle? That is actually part of your tibia. That's the bottom of this big bone that comes down the front of your leg. That's the bottom part of the bone, because the bone is shaped kind of like this. It's the shaft is straight, and then you have like this kind of club on the bottom of it, right? And then go to the outside. Can you all feel that bone there? It's bigger, right? Yeah, that's your fibula. So you've got another bone that goes all the way up your leg. So the bones that go up your leg actually comprise your ankle, right? So now if you can, reach down and see if you can grab the front of your ankle, feel where the inside of your ankle is and the outside of your ankle is. Can you all notice that the outside of your ankle, that bone, is lower than the inside of your ankle? Yeah. Anybody have a difference? Just checking. So you won't have a difference there. So the fibula actually gives you a little stability. So when we lift, now that you know your anatomy there, right? So tibia on the inside is up a little higher on the ankle. Fibula on the outside is a little lower on the ankle. So now when you take your foot and you're looking for gum and you turn to the inside, notice how much turn you have there, right? Try to go to the outside. You don't have so much turn there, right? Yeah, part of it is because you got a bone that's lower here that's preventing you from being able to do that. So just a fun fact. Okay, so let's come up to the knee. So we worked a little bit on the ankle, now we're going to come up to the knee, one of my favorite joints. So we're going to sit up nice and tall, and we're just going to bend and extend. Right leg, left leg, doesn't matter. You choose. So we're just bending and extending. Notice how that knee is working for you this morning. So some people, the knee is working great. Some people, not so much. If holding the leg up is too much, you can always extend and tap your heel, bend and tap your toes. You could even slide your foot, right? So I have these little things at home. They look like little discs, elongated discs, and they slide. They're slippery on one side, and then they have a traction on the other, and so you can put your foot on it and slide it forward and back. When I broke my knee a few years ago, that was one of my rehab movements, was to put my foot on that and just try and slide forward and back, and that was hard to do, very hard to do. And we're going to put that foot back on the floor, and let's go to the other side. So we're bending and extending. So again, whatever movement you can get in your knee, if you've got an injury or you've got a sore knee, you've had it replaced, you've got something going on in there that's just really uncomfortable, there's a range that you can move your knee that's going to be pain-free. Okay. And then we're going to go back down here. Okay, so now let's take let's scoot over to the right side of the chair a little bit. So we've worked a little bit of the ankle and the knee, and now we're going to work those in a different plane. So we went forward and backward, right? So that's kind of in the frontal plane. So now we're going to take that right foot, and we're going to use the heel and the toes and just sort of walk it out and then walk it back. And we'll walk it out and walk it back. So try and keep your torso facing forward, right? So you're not turning your body. And you might have to find where you're just right on the chair, right? So you don't want to be too far over that you fall off, but you don't want to be too far in that you can't get access to that nice range. So one more time, we're going to have the foot out. So we're just going to hold it out here. Okay, so we got this foot kind of held out here. If you look down, you should have about 90 degrees from your right knee and your left knee. And then we're just going to drop that knee in, and you can lift the foot off the floor as you drop it in, and then we'll bring it back. So drop it in and bring it back. Now this is working some of the hip. So we're working up into that hip. So we've worked the ankle, we work the knee, we're working the hip, and this is all going along too. So as you come forward, so the next time you let your knee come forward, I'm just going to have you hold it there and relax and breathe. And as you hold your foot here, I just want you to see where you feel something. So some of us are going to feel it up into the hip and around the leg. Some of us are going to feel it into the knee, especially the inside of the knee. Some will feel it in the lower leg. Some might even feel it in the foot. So just notice where you feel it here on this side. And we're going to do a little comparison. Okay, so bring that knee up, use your heel and your toes, walk it back. Keep walking over to the left side of your chair. So you're still facing forward, and we're going to go out and in. So can you sense, as we're doing this in and out, your movement at your ankle? Can you feel that movement at your ankle? Can you feel the movement at your knee? It's a little squeaky up here, sorry. Can you feel the movement at your hip? Yeah, there's a lot going on. Okay, so the next time that you have your foot out, we want to have about 90 degrees from the right knee to the left knee. And you're comfortable on your chair, and we're just going to let that knee drop in and then come back. And drop in, and as it comes in, see if you can ride up on the big toe side of your foot so your little toe side lifts up. That may not happen for everybody. Okay, and then the next time that you drop your knee in, I'm just going to ask you to hold here. Now, if you're being, I'm noticing this on this side, if you're being restricted in that inward rotation by the chair, scoot out to the side a little more. Yeah, that makes a big difference for me. And that wasn't the case on the other side, so I should have mentioned that. Okay, so we're kind of on the inside edge of the foot, and we're relaxing. So your heel is kind of under your knee-ish, right? In other words, it's not way out here. It's kind of under your knee. And notice where you feel it on this side. So do you feel it in your hip? Do you feel it in your leg? Maybe you feel kind of a twisting sensation. Maybe you feel it down in your knee. Maybe there's a twisting sensation there, or into your lower leg or ankle. Again, can feel like a twist. So breathe in, breathe out. And as you're noticing that, see if you can compare what was it like on the other side. Is there a difference there? Are they similar? Do you have more inward rotation on one side than the other? Okay. And then let's bring that knee back up, and we'll heel and toe, walk it all the way back. Okay. Coming back to the center of your chair, we're going to take the right leg and we're going to lift it up and circle it around and bring it back to the start. Right? So we're lifting up, circle around, bring it back to the start. Lift up, circle around, back to the start. Holding on to your chair. One more time, lift up, circle around, back to the start. We're going to switch legs. So go to the other side, lift up, circle around and back. Breathe in, breathe out. Now notice as you're lifting your leg, does your body want to do this? See if you can press into your hands, give your back a little support so that as you come up and around, okay, and then that foot comes down. Ready? So now we're going to do both legs, not at the same time, but we're going to do both legs, one side and then the other side. So I want you to picture in your mind's eye that you're drawing a figure 8, right? So you're going up and around and out to the side, and then up and around and out to the side. Can you feel or picture that figure 8? You got a sense of a figure 8 there? Kinda. It's on its side, so I guess it would be more of an infinity, right? So you all know what an infinity sign looks like? Yeah. So this is more of an infinity sign. All right, let's slow it down by half. It's harder when we go slower. These people here are not doing very well with this. I think they got something happening with their joints. Okay, one more 8. All right, now this is where it's going to get tricky. Ready? So we're going to start on the left side, and we're going to do a reverse 8. What? I know, I see the big question mark over your head. What? Okay, so take your left leg, go out to the side, come up and around and down. Take your right leg, go up, out to the side, around and down. It's the opposite of what we did before. So just so you know I'm not lying, let's do it the right way, the first way. So take your right leg, lift up, go out, around and down. Take your left, go up, around and down. So that's the regular way. Now we're going to reverse it. So on that left side, go out, up, and over. On the right, go up, over, and down. Left goes out, up, and over, and I see the faces. And the right goes up, over, and down. One more time. Out, up, and over, up, out, and down. We didn't go backwards. We didn't. What did I do? I had this down. Oh, right. We're supposed to go out, up, and down. Right, out, up, and down. Yes. I was just checking to make sure you guys were paying attention. Did that on purpose. Whew. All right. Let's do it the regular way. Ready? Up, out, and down. Up, out, and over. Right. That's it. I got to work on that. Good. All right, let's reverse just for a couple. Yeah, good. That's it. Now we got it. Whew, one more. Holy moly, I'm so much better with the arms. All right. Speaking of which, you're here. You guys are awesome. Awesome. Let's take the right arm. Let's do some circles. So like the elbow is drawing some big circles on the side. Big circles. And again, if you've got something happening in your shoulder and this is your circle, that is a great circle. So whatever you can get. Next time your elbow's down toward the ground, reverse direction. Up and around. Excellent. All right, let's try some 8s this way. So this is a little easier, right? Up and around with our 8s. And then when your elbow is down, reverse your 8s. Good. And breathe. Yep, it's time to say breathe. Good. All right, relax that. Let's go the other side. Nice big circles. Good. Oh. So again, this might be a movement you don't get a lot of in your day-to-day life. Maybe you don't do things that require this. The next time that your elbow is down, we're going to reverse direction. Go up and around and down. Good. Excellent. And then a nice 8 here. Good. Excellent. Nice big 8. Good. And reverse 8. I know, right? It can be pretty challenging. All right. And then reverse and then relax that. Great. Let's roll the shoulders a couple of times. All right. So let's get the whole arm involved in some movement here. So take your right arm and let's just sweep it up and around and forward. So we're going from the back to the front. Nice big kind of windmill. Nice slow action. Now as you come back, turn your palm up. And as you come forward, turn your palm down. So you want your thumb to turn out, up, and over. And then as you come forward and down. So the whole arm is rotating as you do this. Good. How about one more time? And we'll bring that hand to the lap and let's go to the other side. So as you come back, turn your palm up. As you come forward, turn your palm down and breathe. So we're just coming up and over and around. Nice big circles. Good. So notice if one side feels different than the other. Maybe you've got a little more restriction in one side. Okay, and then let's see if we can do both at the same time. So we're coming up and around and down. And breathe in and breathe out as you do this. Nice and slow. Your movement is nice and slow. So turn your palms up toward the ceiling. Turn them down as you come forward. Thumbs out, up toward the ceiling. Down and forward. Great. One more time. Out and up and around. And bring your hands right back down to your lap. Let's roll those shoulders backwards a couple of times. Okay. And then we're going to do the little Y movement that we have done. I think we did it last week, or maybe it was the week before. So the word Y, right? So we get the arms into a W, right? So there's my W. And then we do a H, and then Y, right? So W, H, and Y. And breathe. So W, H, and Y, and W, H, and Y, and one more time, W, H, and Y. Great. So bring the arms all the way down. You're going to give your elbows a bend. So your forearms are parallel to the floor. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. And now see if we can bring the elbows straight up to the side and then back. So don't have your hands up here by your shoulders. You're going to keep your hands right out here. And we're coming up and down. Now, as you do, I want you to focus on this outer shoulder. Can you feel the muscles in the outer shoulder working? Mm-hmm. So do the best you can. If this movement is not available, you can even come out this far. So just a little bit. Coming up and over. Great. Couple more. Great. Last time, we're going to hold here. Relax your hands. So now we've got the wrists kind of at the same height as the shoulders, but relax your shoulder tops down. And now what we're going to do is keeping the arms at the same height from the floor, we're just going to come forward and back and go back as far as you can. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then forward and back. So it's like you're gliding your hands on a counter, right? So they stay at the same height from the floor. and you're breathing. So as you come forward, you can exhale. And as you come back, see if you can inhale. And when you come back, I want you to really squeeze the shoulder blades together. Really squeeze the shoulder blades. And as you're squeezing your shoulder blades, notice if you're sticking your chin up. See if you can keep your chin level. And then the next time we're back in that shoulder blade squeeze, we're going to hold here and breathe and squeeze a little more and relax your toes, because you can do that in this position. And relax your jaw and keep squeezing. We're really waking up those muscles. And then relax all of that and let your hands float back down to your lap. Close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths and just notice. Notice your shoulders. So your shoulder, we often think about the shoulder in terms of where it hurts. So let's take a breath, let it out with a sigh. So whenever I'm talking to people, we have different ideas of the shoulder, right? And again, it's usually where we feel pain or restriction or some sort of limitation. So somebody will say, oh yeah, my shoulder. Or somebody will say, oh yeah, my shoulder. But your shoulder is all of this. It's from the front all the way around to the back. That's your whole shoulder. Anybody heard the term shoulder girdle? Yeah? So that's the whole girdle. That's the whole shoulder itself. So you have muscles that come over the top here. You have muscles that go down into your arm. You have muscles that come up here from your chest, your pectoral muscles. It's like a fan, comes up from your chest and right into here. And then you have muscles in the back. And you even have muscles underneath your shoulder blade that keep your shoulder blade attached to your ribs. So you've got all kinds of muscles there. So we have to work them all in order to maintain maximum mobility or to regain maximum mobility in the shoulder girdle. So how are your shoulders feeling? Sore, awake, awake. Okay, so we're going to let them rest a little bit, and we're going to go back down to the lower body. We're going to do a little bit more work with the hips. So let's take the right leg and cross it over the left. Okay. So just this position can be a fairly good stretch for a lot of people here in the outside of that right hip. Now, if you cannot cross your knees, you can cross at the ankle. It's not going to be as effective, so if you're uncomfortable here with the knee over the knee, I encourage you to do it. If you're in pain, I discourage you to do it. I want you to do this. So discomfort is a lot different. Discomfort is, I'm really feeling that in here. Pain is, ouch, I got to stop that right now. So wherever you're at with your ability here, you're going to put both hands on that top knee or thigh. Okay, and you're relaxing the legs, right? So the legs are relaxed, and you're just going to lengthen your spine, and then you're going to come forward like you're trying to bring your belly button down onto your knee, right? So you have to have your foot directly under your knee so that you don't slip off your chair, and then you're going to come all the way back up. Okay, so let's do that a couple more times. So we're just coming forward. Good. And back. Now, as you come forward, you might notice that the stretch in the outside of the hip or the outside of that leg is getting a little more intense. And that can be anywhere from the hip down to the knee. Some people might even feel it in the lower leg, depending on what's going on for you. Keep your spine nice and long, though, so we don't want to round. In other words, you're not bringing your nose down to your knee, right? You're bringing your navel to your knee. Good. Okay, and then come all the way up. Lean back a little bit and switch legs. So we're going to cross the left on top of the right. Got your right heel underneath your right knee. And again, check in. Is this uncomfortable, so I'd rather do this? Or is this painful and I can't do this, right? If it's uncomfortable and I'd rather, I'm going to encourage you to give it a try. So you're lengthening through your spine. And then you're going to come forward like you're trying to bring your navel onto your knee, and then come back up. So don't drop your head when you come forward, right? So it's really about lengthening your spine, keeping that diagonal length as you come forward, and then back up. Good. So coming as far forward as is comfortable for you. And a couple more. coming forward and back, and one more time, coming forward and back. Great. Excellent. So let's uncross that, bring that foot back down to the floor. Okay, let's bring the feet a little wider than, let's say about as wide as your chair legs. Right? I think that's about right. Okay. And have your toes angled out slightly, just slightly. And then lift up through the spine. So we're lengthening through the spine. And then with a nice flat back, you're going to come forward about 45 degrees. And then come back up. Okay? So 45 degrees. So if this is 90, right? That's 90 degrees. I'm only coming forward that much. Just that much. So 45 degrees. Push into your feet and come back up. Breathe in, breathe out. So as you come forward slowly. Slow, slow, slow to your 45 degrees, and then you can push into your feet and come back up. So your feet are nice and wide. You want to have your feet nice and wide for this. Yeah, your arms want to do the work. Yep. Good. Okay. So let's see if we can get to 60. So again, if this is 90 and this is 45, that's about 60, right? So this can be a little challenging because proprioception, our ability to sense where we are in space, is different for all of us, right? So we're going to come forward to that 45 and then come forward a little bit more and then come all the way back up. Okay? So can you feel this stretch in your inner thighs, in your back, in the backs of your thighs? Yes, in the groins, yep. Trying to think of where else you might be feeling this. If you're using your arms, you're feeling the strength in your arms, right, as you push into your hands. Good. And one more time, coming forward to maybe that 60 degrees, and then coming all the way back up. Excellent. All right, let's bring those feet in. Okay, so close your eyes for a moment. Take a couple of breaths. Notice your hands, your feet, your wrists, your ankles, your forearms and your lower legs, your elbows and your knees, your upper arms and your thighs, your shoulders and your hips. Those are all cousins of each other, right? So the toes and the fingers are cousins. The ankles and the wrists are cousins. The knees and the elbows, cousins. So let's take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. All right. And then we're going to do a little bit of work now for the spine. So to bring the upper body and the lower body together, we've got the torso in here. So we're going to do some movements. We haven't done the 6 movements of the spine specifically for a while now, so I figured this would be a good way to kind of integrate all that. So the 6 movements of the spine are forward and backward, side to side, and then a rotational piece. So in the forward piece, we're going to take the chin down to the chest, bring the nose to the navel, and then the forehead down to the floor. So you're kind of curling your spine a little bit. And you've got your hands on your lap, and then you're just going to push yourself up and then extend. So when you extend, you're bringing your shoulder blades together. Keep your chin level. Don't let your head come up. We have way too much of that. So keep your chin level, and we'll squeeze the shoulder blades and arch the back. And then release that. We'll bring the chin to the chest, nose to navel, forehead to the floor. So this is forward bend, and then coming back up. So you can see I'm flexing and extending the spine here. So when we come forward, that is called flexion. So you can think of forward flexion, right? So F and F. And then extension is when we lift up and we squeeze those shoulder blades together. So we're extending the spine this way. So flexion and extension, breathing in, breathing out. For me, I like to exhale when I'm flexing because the front of my body is smaller here. And then when I breathe in, the front of my body is bigger. Okay, one more time. Great. And then come back to a neutral spine. So that's forward and backward. That's flexion and extension. Side bending is also flexion and extension, but it gets a little confusing. So I'm just going to call it side bending for our purposes. So we're going to take the right ear to the right shoulder, and then the right shoulder to the right hip. And then we're going to bring the head down as close to the floor as you can without lifting that left seat off the chair. And then come all the way up. Right? So same thing on the other side. So ear to shoulder, shoulder to hip, and then head down. So we should be feeling a stretch on that right side somewhere and come back up. So that is the movement. Now, if this makes you dizzy with your head, you can always flex without the head, right? So we can go to one side and keep the head level, right? So we're just slowly moving from side to side. Now, if you want a little more stretch, you're not like feeling it too well, as you go to one side, lift the other elbow up. You should feel that right in through that side of the rib cage, right? And then the other side. So breathing in and breathing out, I'm just going to lift that up. Now, if you want a little more, and this is not for everybody, you can go up overhead. All right, that's a lot. So that's a lot. Just know that. We're only going to do this a few times because this is requiring a lot of the muscles in the side of your body. And if you don't do this movement, how many of you do this movement every day during the day? Oh, I see everybody with their hands up. Great. Awesome. So if you're not used to this movement, what happens is just a few of these starts to wake up those muscles on the side of the body. Let's make this next one our last one, you guys. Wakes up the muscles on the side of the body, and then tomorrow you're like really sore and you say, oh my God, what did we do in yoga? It's killing me. Yeah, because this is all going to be awake. I love to do this particular stretch in bed before I get out of bed in the morning. Just swing your feet off the side, put your hand on the mattress, lean over. So now I've got support, right? Because my hand is here, and I can just kind of explore this and maybe do a little with the wrist, maybe do a little with the head. It's a great way to wake up the sides of your spine first thing in the morning. So that's your side bending. So we did forward, backward, side to side, and then we're going to kind of finish it off with a little twist. And the reason I like to do the twist last is because it's the more complex movement. And so warming other things up in the spine is helpful for getting into this movement safely. So we're going to lengthen through the spine. Take your right hand, bring it to the back of your chair or down to the bottom of your chair, way in the back. And then take your left hand over to that right knee, and we're just going to really gently twist out to the right. Twist, twist. You can twist everything as far as you want. Just don't let your sitting bones slide on the chair, and then come back around. And the reason I say that is because that's the cheat. Remember I said we'll outsource things, right? So if I can't turn in this direction, what'll I do? Yeah, so that's sliding your sitting, and even a little bit, right? So that's sliding my sitting bones. So I'm getting the movement out of my spine, and I'm putting it in joints that already have that ability, which is great, but we're trying to get the movement into parts that don't move so much. So left hand to the back of the chair, right hand to the outside of that left leg, really gently twist over to the left. Now, most of us are going to notice it's easier to twist one way than the other. And breathe in, breathe out. And unwind. Let's come back around, go to that other side again. Oh, I love doing this. This is great. It's so good for us to give a little twist here. Let's go to the other side, breathing in, breathing out. And you might notice each time, let's do it one more time on each side. You might notice that after just 3 times, you can actually get a little farther around. And other side. And then back. Let your hands rest on your lap, close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths in and out. And then if you'd like, maybe take your hands together and just give yourself a little appreciation. Give your body some gratitude for what it's able to do. We often focus on the limitations in our bodies. That's just how we are as a culture. We focus on what's wrong, what's missing, what's not working. So instead, see if you can find even one thing. Hopefully you have more than one, but even if you can find just one thing that you're grateful for. And then if you'd like, you can open your eyes and maybe just acknowledge all these wonderful people here and the gratitude I have for everybody being here with me, because it's a big room to be alone. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time. You're welcome.